Okay, sit down for this one. And I might sound a bit tired because it's been in the middle of the night here in Bangkok, Thailand, but we have to talk about it. Germany are out of the World Cup, lost to Paraguay on penalties 4-3, round of 32 in Foxbury to a team ranked 34th in the world. The first time in the history of the FIFA World Cups that Germany have ever lost a penalty shootout. I said again because we need a second to absorb it. The 2014 World Cup winners, the four-time champions, the country with more knockout round experience than almost anyone, lost on penalties to Paraguay in the round of 32 in 2026. Before we talk about how it happened, we need to talk about what happened in the 105th minute, because this is the part that's going to be argued for about the next 10 years. Jonathan Tah had it in a corner, powered it home. Germany believed they'd just gotten up 2-1 in extra time. Moroccan referee Jalal Tayed was sent to the screen by VAR, came back, disallowed the goal. The reason? Woltemade Andon had supposedly fouled Paraguay goalkeeper Orlando Gil before the header. ESPN's VAR analyst and former Premier League ref said in his official review, and I quote, "This was not a foul blocked by Germany's Anton, and this goal should have stood. It was both a poor intervention by VAR and an equally disappointing decision from the on-field referee." Peter Schmeichel on Fox, "I don't think it's a foul. The goalkeeper has run straight into him. I think they've got that wrong." Alan Shearer on BBC, "Not for me." Brad Friedel on the World Feed, "There's no reason for the goalkeeper to fall to the ground at all." And that's not the only one. Earlier in extra time, Woltemade had a shot blocked in the box. Germany screamed handball. The referee waved play on without VAR review. And the Ecuador match in group stage, remember that, Germany lost 1-2, also had a disallowed Germany penalty after VAR. 3 controversial calls, all against Germany, all went the same way. Before you think this is going to be a complaining episode, it's not, because I'm not going to spend the entire episode complaining about VAR. Because, and I gotta be honest with you about this, the refereeing did not lose this match. The coach did. And we're going to do that as a proper coach's eye, because there's a real tactical and selection conversation to have, and the German media is going to spend the next week on the VAR controversy because that's the easiest story. The harder story is that this team played the exact same way in every single match. Same system, same almost with only attack, same Leroy Sané, who was a black hole on the right for the entire tournament. Same crosses into the box that the opposition center backs ate for breakfast. Same lack of pace, same delayed substitutions, same Wirtz, the most expensive midfielder in Germany, being played out of position. Plus, in a sudden death of the penalty shootout, Jonathan Tah, a centre back, not a designated penalty taker, and the German broadcast commentator said live, "I've never seen Tah take a penalty in his entire career." And he was 6th, 7th man up for Germany, and he skied it. Then Canale buried it, and we're out. Also, 16 corners, 21 shots, 0 open play goals in 120 minutes, basically. And disallowed header. A penalty shootout where the 6th, 7th taker was a centre back who never takes penalty. That's the actual story. Also in this round of 32, Brazil edged Japan 2-1 with a Martinelli winner in the 95th minute, which means Ancelotti's project is also in trouble, but Brazil are through because they have Martinelli. Canada beat South Africa 1-0 with Steven Eustáquio in stoppage time with a winner, giving the hosts some sort of quarterfinal hope. And the Netherlands are also out. Morocco beat them on penalties in Monterrey. Hakimi hit the post. The Dutch missed at least... They missed twice, 3 times. It just finished while I'm recording. Bono made saves, and Ismail Saibari buried the winner in the left corner with Verbruggen diving the wrong way. So both Germany and the Netherlands eliminated on penalties on the same day. 2 pre-tournament top 15, maybe top 10 teams, both gone, and the shootouts full of misses. We're going to talk about that. I'm Sasha, 20 years coaching team sport. This is Tactic, the show where we watch the sport the way a coach watches it. So let's dive into the round of 32 recap for what happened so far. 4 matches done, round of 32. Here's what we have. Canada, South Africa, 1-0. Terrible game, boring game. There's not much more to say. It was ridiculous how bad that was. Looked like a fourth-tier match from back home in Germany. Yeah, somehow South Africa made it into that stage, somehow placing above South Korea. Canada did not play well again. Had a good finish here then at the end. Crazy that they're through. It looks like, if I'm not mistaken, they'll now be facing Morocco in the next round. Brazil 2, Japan 1, lunchtime in Houston, and we had Sano putting Japan ahead in the 29th minute. We had Casemiro equalizing at the start of the second half, and then 95th minute, Martinelli scoring the winner. Brazil through a round of 16. I'm flagging this because Brazil are not playing well. Yeah, Ancelotti's project, possession football, structure control is fighting against the Brazilian instinct to attack. They drew Morocco, they beat Haiti, they beat Scotland, and now they just barely went past Japan. And Japan played them off the park for a bit. Japan, meanwhile, I think deserved better. They were technically excellent. They pressed Brazil into mistakes. They took the lead, and they lost in stoppage time. The Japan project, and I keep saying this every cycle, should be in a quarterfinal by now. They keep falling short. They have the technical level. They don't have the killer instinct or maybe the squad depth to actually break through up until now. Germany won, Paraguay won, and Paraguay 4-3 on penalties. The match itself, proper coach's eye in a minute. Quick version, Paraguay went up 1-0 in the 42nd through Encisio's header, which is crazy. Havertz equalized in the 54th from a Wirtz cross at the backstick. Germany dominated the rest. 75% possession, 21 shots, 16 corners. Didn't score after that in open play. Disallowed Tah goal in extra time. Penalties, Germany out. Netherlands won, Morocco won. Morocco wins 3-2 on penalties. Gakpo broke the deadlock in the 72nd after a Samuel run. Issa Diop equalized in the 91st with a header. Extra time when 0-0 shootout was full of misses. Hakimi hitting the post early. The Dutch missed all the time. Bono made the saves, and then in the end we had Saibari, the new Bayern Munich player, scoring Morocco's winning penalty on the left corner with Verbruggen guessing wrong. Morocco through to the round of 16 to play Canada, which, to be honest, looks good for Morocco. The Dutch are out. So 2 pre-tournament heavyweights, Germany and the Netherlands, eliminated on penalties on the same day. That's one of the headlines. The 2 best European squads in the South American starter bracket are both home. France becomes by far the most likely European finalist on that half of the draw, and the round of 16 matchup is Canada versus Morocco. Host nations versus tournament's dark horse, a match that absolutely nobody had circled when this tournament started. Okay, so now the Coach's Eye segment, right? That was the recap, Coach's Eye. This is going to be long-ish because Germany have just gone out of the World Cup, and, well, we're a German football-focused podcast, so the analysis here deserves time. So, Coach's Eye, Nagelsmann's tournament in one match. Part A, and the system never changed. So let me start where I want to land. Nagelsmann's Germany played 4 matches in this tournament. They played them all the same way. Same starting system, asymmetrical, 4-2-3-1, I think, with Kimmich inverting from the right back to make a pseudo back 3, Brown tucked inside as a wide midfield on the left, Wirtz and Sané hugging the touchlines as wingers, 2 strikers, Havertz, and one of Undab or Musiala with a free role in the middle. This worked against Curaçao, because Curaçao were 150,000 people and overmatched. It almost didn't work against Ivory Coast. They were 1-0 down for an hour, and Nagelsmann had to bring on the bench at the 60th minute to win it. It didn't work against Ecuador. It did not work against Paraguay. 4 matches, 4 very different opponents, same system, same patterns of play. Same openings, same problems, same patterns of play. At the highest level, you cannot do this. Yet tournament football demands technical flexibility because the opponents vary so much. Spain don't play like Paraguay. Norway don't play like Saudi Arabia. Cabo Verde don't play like Brazil. You have to adapt your system to the match in front of you. The 2014 Germany, the team that won the World Cup, they did this. Yeah, Joachim Löw had Germany change the shape depending on who they faced. Nagelsmann's Germany did not. And so against Paraguay, who defended in two compact banks of four, gave nothing in the middle and dared Germany to win the match by crossing the ball. And Germany tried to win the match by crossing the ball. 16 corners, 21 shots. Yeah, nothing in open play. One disallowed header from a set piece. Yep, penalty shootout out. Which leads me to part B, the black hole on the right. And I'm going to keep saying this because it's the thing that nobody in the German press has the stomach to say plainly. Leroy Sané has been bad the entire tournament. Not a bit off, not underperforming. Bad. Genuinely bad. He hasn't beaten the defender consistently, his crosses haven't found targets, his decision-making with the ball has been slow and predictable. Bavarian Football Works wrote, and I'm paraphrasing because I want to be fair, that Sané was the sole source of width on the right for much of the Paraguay game and a black hole in possession who allowed Paraguay to focus their defensive efforts elsewhere. So when the player on your right wing is neutralized, the opponent can collapse their defense onto your other channels. And Paraguay did exactly that. Now I want to be honest about the alternatives because the easy critique is why not bring in pace, and the harder question is whose pace? Karim Adeyemi Dortmund has had a very inconsistent year. Said El Köln is young but not in the best form and not a starter. And neither of them is the obvious answer. But the deeper problem is that Germany's wide attacker depth is as thin at this World Cup. That's also Nagelsmann's problem. He picked the squad. He picked the players who weren't in form, didn't pick alternatives, and then ran a system that demanded wide attackers be at their best. But the other thing, and this matters, is that Nagelsmann had alternatives on his bench, who were producing in the matches he gave them minutes. Jamie Leveling did a real job against Ivory Coast when subbed in. Nadim Amiri delivered the assist for the Undorf equalizer in that match. Actually came out and changed the game. Both were quietly impressive players on the bench, and both were used too late, too rarely. Amiri didn't start a single match this tournament. He came on against Ivory Coast, assisted the equalizer, came on against Paraguay only in the, 110th minute or so, and was one of the few Germans to convert his penalty. You have a midfielder who can change games. You bring him in on at 110 minutes. That's a coaching decision. That's preparation. That's trust. Amiri should have been getting 20, 30 minutes a match across the tournament, getting acclimatized, having the chance to settle into the system. Instead, he was a last resort. Same with Leveling. Same to a lesser extent, maybe with Goretzka, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but still you gotta make some changes. Nagelsmann had options on the bench. He used them too late. And speaking of options, part C of this segment here, Wirtz playing out of position. Now let's talk about this. And I want to be careful because the picture is more complicated than it looks. So, Florian Wirtz moved to Liverpool last summer for, 160 million pounds or something? He has had, by his standards, an underwhelming year at Anfield. So had the whole team. 7 goals, I think 8 assists, modest by what he was producing in Leverkusen. Arne Slot was fired at the end of May, partly over Liverpool's general inconsistency, partly over how Wirtz was being deployed. He was played as a winger, as an inverted forward, as a deep playmaker. Let's see if that will change. Even, Vladimír Šmicer, like a Liverpool 2005 Champions League winner, said publicly 2 weeks ago, and I'll quote him because he said it plainly. He said, quote, "If you buy Wirtz and play him as a left winger, you throw that money away. You need to play him in his best position and build the team around him. His best position is behind the striker. Give him the freedom and it should work." That's a Liverpool legend saying that. About Liverpool's current management. About the most expensive midfielder Germany has ever produced. And now Nagelsmann is, this World Cup, playing Wirtz on the left wing. The exact thing Šmicer just said was throwing the money away. A Wirtz peak contribution in the Paraguay match was the cross for Harvard's equalizer. Wirtz crossing from the wing. The man who should be controlling the number 10 spot was instead delivering crosses. I'm going to give Nagelsmann half a credit here. Wirtz hasn't shown his best form in Liverpool. He's been played out of position there too. So Nagelsmann inherited a player whose club rhythm wasn't perfect. But the German national team has less excuse than Liverpool. The national team gets 4 or 5 matches a year to figure this out. They've had 2 years. And the right call, and Schmicer's right, is to build a system around Wirtz playing number 10 and find your Wirtz somewhere else. Nagelsmann didn't. Sticking with the theme of what Nagelsmann did not, and I promise I'm gonna be done ranting about this soon, but this also deserves some time, because when it comes to the penalty shootout, yeah, and I quote again the German commentator on ZDF, the German channel, said it live. I quote it and I translate: Ich habe Tah in seiner ganzen Karriere noch nie einen Elfmeter schießen sehen. Meaning, I've never seen Tah take a penalty in his entire career. This is not a player who takes penalties. He's a center back. He may have practiced them. He has not been a designated taker. And he skied it over the bar. And then afterwards, Canale buried Paraguay's response, Germany out. So here's the coach's eye on this. By the time Germany go to sudden death, Musiala had already scored his first round of 5. Kimmich, Goretzka, Amiri also done and scored. Havertz and Woltemade had missed. So the question isn't why not someone who already took one. They were used, right? But the question is, of the players left on the field who hadn't taken one, was Tah genuinely the best option? Yeah, there are other people there. I mean, Angelo Stiller, for example, who was also still more fresh, who plays for Stuttgart, who's taken plenty of penalties at the club level. We had Nathaniel Brown there, who is one of the few players that played a good tournament. We had fresh people like Jar there, for example, as well. But I'm not saying they are better, but I think any could have been more defensible, and starting with a center back who, per commentary team, has never taken one in his career. The deeper point, though, a penalty shootout order is not the moment to decide who takes a penalty. It's the moment when the preset order gets executed. So you should have your top 7, 8 penalty takers ranked before the match starts. If Tah was the 7th best penalty taker on the German squad at the moment, the question is why nobody had practiced and ranked the 7th slot ahead of time. If he wasn't, if Stiller was or anyone else, then it's even worse because the wrong man stepped up. Either way, that's a coaching failure of preparation. You don't get to sudden death and discover your shooters aren't ready. The shooters should be ready when the match kicks off. One of the last parts now in this segment is the one that I think matters the most. I think the changes came too late. Now, fairly, Nagelsmann does make substitutions, and against Ivory Coast 2 weeks ago, his subs won the match. Against Paraguay, the substitution changed the system in the final 15 minutes of the game, of regulation time. Yeah, Goretzka in for Felix Mecha, Kimmich to central midfield, Musiala in for Sané, basically, or on the right wing. With those changes for those final 20 minutes, Germany looked like a more coherent team. They created chances, they forced Paraguay to defend on the back foot, they almost won the match in 90 minutes. The question is, why did the changes wait that long? If the system you start a match with is not working for 60 minutes, and the structural fixes move Kimmich to the middle and play Musiala on the right, make that change at 60, not at 80, not in extra time, at 60. Nagelsmann waited, and by the time he made the change, the match was decided. It was the same pattern in the Ivory Coast match. The subs saved the day, but at the 60th minute. The same pattern in the Ecuador match, the same pattern in this match. Nagelsmann has one good idea per match, which is the sub, and he keeps making it too late. A great tournament coach makes bold calls in real time. He doesn't wait for desperation. That's also one thing we saw, by the way, in the Brazil match, like making bold calls, paying off. Which leads me to the pattern across this entire project. Yeah, the bigger frame, because I think that matters. Nagelsmann has been Germany coach for almost 3 years. He took over in September 23. He had the Euro 24, where Germany reached the quarterfinals and lost to Spain in extra time. Yeah, Cucurella, handball, we know. He had a qualifying campaign where Germany were dominant. Kinda. I mean, from the results, from the games, the gameplay itself. Let's not talk about that. He had the friendlies, where Germany were on a 9-match winning streak. But the pattern of his tactical approach has been the same throughout. Build a system, pick players who fit it, run the system, trust the system. When the system doesn't work, swap players in and out, but keep running the same system. And that's a club coach's approach. That's how you build at Bayern over a season. That's not how you coach a national team through a tournament. And that Bavarian Football Works article made a comparison I want to flag because it's instructive. They pointed out this same pattern: dominate possession, can't break a defense, can't find the final pass, ultimately lose to a worse resourced opponent who's well organized. It's the same pattern that played out at Bayern Munich when Nagelsmann was the head coach there. The 2022 Champions League knockout against Villarreal. Bayern dominated, Bayern lost. The system didn't crack the defense. The substitutions came late. And we just watched the exact same match play out at the World Cup 4 years later. Different country, same coach, same pattern. This leads to the now what? So Germany are out. The DFB, the German Football Association, is going to have a conversation about Nagelsmann. There will be calls for him to go. There will probably be patient voices arguing this was just bad luck, bad VAR, missed penalties. Paraguay, a team that defended exceptionally well, played very dirty as well. I'm going to be honest about my read here. I think Nagelsmann probably stays. The DFB, the German Football Association, invested in this project. They paid up. They committed publicly. Firing him after the round of 32 is a hugely expensive admission of failure. And the DFB, German Football Association, does not have an obvious replacement ready to go unless Jurgen Klopp is ready to go right now. Plus, the friendly results were good, the squad is young, the argument will be, give him another 2 years, get to the Euros in 2028. I think the right answer is more uncomfortable. Nagelsmann's tactical approach is not working at the international level. The same system applied to every opponent only works when your individual talent is overwhelming, which Germany's isn't at this point in their cycle. If you keep him, you need to generally change how he coaches, not just who is in the squad. And that's hard. And national team coaches don't get many training sessions to overhaul their tactics. So maybe he stays, maybe he changes, maybe Germany figures out how to be flexible, or maybe we have this exact conversation again in 2 years. For now, the project that was supposed to peak at this World Cup peaked early. The bench beat Ivory Coast, the system beat Curaçao, everything else, Ecuador, Paraguay, was the system failing at the highest level it was supposed to succeed at. And that's where we are. Okay, now let's get something that ran across the whole day because I think it's important. Penalty shooters. There were 2 of them today, Germany, Paraguay, Netherlands, Morocco, and the misses across both of them were stunning. It's a real coach's eye topic, so let me address it. Why are pros missing so many penalties? Let me lay out the math from today real quick. Germany-Paraguay shootout, Germany missed 3 out of 7 attempts. Havertz, Woltemade, Tah. Paraguay missed 2, Sanabria and Balbuena, which was saved by Neuer. 5 misses across 14 attempts. 36% of all penalties missed. Netherlands-Morocco shootout, Hakimi off the post. Netherlands missed 3 times, bonus, or missed twice, bonus saved at least 1. Morocco won 3-2 on penalties, which means at minimum, like you have 3 Dutch attempts that go in across 5 shots, plus Morocco's own misses. It's crazy. It's like 40 to 50% of all penalties missed. So 2 complete shootouts, roughly 10 misses out of 25 attempts at the World Cup by professional footballers earning hundreds of thousands of euros a week. These are not amateur penalty takers. These are players whose clubs include Liverpool, PSG, Real, Bayern, Dortmund, and so on. So why are they missing so much? The honest answer, it's mostly coaching and development. Yeah, pressure is real, sure, but pressure is something you train around, not something you accept as the cause. So there are 3 things I try to flag here again. 1, pros under practice penalties. This is well documented. Sports science research over the past decade has shown that even the top professional teams don't dedicate enough specific training time to penalty taking. Players take penalties in matches when they happen, which is rarely, and then practice them maybe twice a season in dedicated sessions. That's it. For a skill that decides World Cup matches, that is not enough. Compared to a craft like archery, where Olympic athletes practice tens of thousands of arrows a year, penalty taking is a fundamentally similar skill, a closed motor skill performed under high pressure with a single defined motion. It rewards repetition. Footballers don't get enough of it. 2, the lottery myth has become self-fulfilling. I hate that one. For decades, pundits and managers have called penalty shootouts a lottery. Because they've called it a lottery, clubs and federations haven't invested in it. Because they haven't invested in it, it remains a lottery. The narrative protects the lack of preparation. Ridiculous. Yeah, England, and this is a useful counterexample, I can't believe I'm talking about England, and penalties, finally took penalty preparation seriously under Southgate, of all people. They lost the Euro 22 final on penalties, but they won the shootout against Switzerland. In the quarterfinal, they won the shootout against Colombia in the 2018 World Cup. Each time, the prep was real. A designated penalty coach, ranked shooters, walkthroughs, mental scripts. England's penalty record has improved because they treat it as a skill. Germany, who's normally elite at this, just lost their first ever World Cup penalty shootout. The skill atrophies if you don't work on it. And number 3, the shooting order should be set in advance. I made this point about Tah, but it applies across the whole day. Every shootout I watched today had moments where the next shooter was being, it looked like, as decided in the middle of the shootout. Players hesitating, coaches looking at their notes, captains pointing. That should not be happening at the World Cup. That order should be first taker, second taker, all the way down to 6th, 7th, and so forth. It should be known by everyone before the first penalty is taken. Preset, practiced, confident. When players step up to a critical penalty, not knowing they were going to take it, their mental margin disappears. That's not pressure, that's preparation failing. Now the caveats, right? The caveats. Pressure matters. The World Cup is different from a Bundesliga penalty in a regular match. Sure, cortisol is higher, the crowd's louder, the legs feel heavier, the consequences are real. I'm not pretending pressure isn't a factor, but pressure is something coaching can address. The mental training side of penalty taking is just as coachable as the technical side. There are sports psychologists who work specifically on this. Visualization exercises, pre-shot routines, breathing protocols. England started doing it. It worked. Most national teams still don't. So when you see 3 Germans miss penalties at the World Cup and a 6th, 7th taker who's never taken one, and you see Hakimi hit the post and the Dutch missed twice in a separate shootout an hour later, that's not bad luck. That's not pressure. That's a sport that hasn't invested enough in a critical skill, and the consequences are getting paid in front of billions of viewers. Fix it in training the next 4 years, 2 years. But hey, okay, enough autopsy. Let me actually talk about the good football from this round of 32. Well, okay, good football might be an overreach, but Brazil just barely, and what's coming. So Brazil beat Japan 2-1. We talked about it with a Martinelli win in the 95th. Without that, they were going home or going to extra time in any case. Here's what worried me about this match. Right? Brazil have all the talent. Vini Jr., Rodrigo, Rafinha, Hendrick, Martinelli, Guimaraes, Casemiro. The squad list is one of the strongest in the tournament. Ancelotti is the most decorated coach in European football history, probably. And Brazil are playing nervously. Not pure attack, not pure structure. A hybrid that doesn't quite work. I'll tell you what saves Brazil. They have individuals who win matches. Martinelli, Vini Jr., Bruno Guimaraes, Casemiro on a set piece. When the system doesn't fire, the individuals do. They beat Japan because Martinelli scored in 95th, not because Brazil systematically broke Japan down. That's the bug in the system as a tournament-winning approach. If you're relying on individual moments, you can lose to one bad night, of course. The rest of round of 32, which will be interesting, Ivory Coast versus Norway. Yeah, Ivory Coast, the team that pushed Germany. Norway with Haaland, Odegaard, the dark horses I've been hyping. Norway are 45-27 favorites, I think, if I've saw it right. I'm watching this closely. France versus Sweden. It's going to be, I think, at 4 in Bangkok. I might not be watching this. France are heavy favorites. And Sweden got rinsed 5-1 by Netherlands, so France should win this comfortably. You have Mexico versus Ecuador at the Azteca. Mexican home crowd will go crazy. I'll be curious to see how this will turn out. I think this is a banana skin match. We then further will see England versus Congo. We have Belgium versus Senegal, USA versus Bosnia, which apparently Americans don't know where it is. Spain versus Austria, our neighbors, my neighbors from Germany. Portugal versus Croatia, Switzerland versus Algeria, and Australia versus Egypt. We then also see Argentina versus Cabo Verde, and that's the round of 32 fairy tale match. Let's see if Cabo Verde can pull it off one more time. Power rankings right now, post Germany and post Netherlands. After the Paraguay shock, the Morocco, not shock, but the result, and the Brazil scare, I still think, of course, Spain to win. Argentina, from the current form at the tournament, you would say Argentina number 1. I still trust the Spanish project, but Spain, Argentina, and France. Portugal, with all the luck they have all the time, maybe there have a chance to still kind of like pull one out. But the big ones, Argentina, Spain, France, should be the ones to watch, even though Spain hasn't been as convincing so far. Norway's still alive, Morocco's still alive. Winnable match against Canada, which puts them in genuine quarterfinal contention. So, and everything goes after that. I think the market's going to move towards Spain probably. But again, Argentina's still one of the big ones as well, obviously, with Messi playing the way he does and the team doing everything for him. Well, let's see how that continues. I would love personally to see Cabo Verde pull this off. I don't have high hopes though. So, quick wrap now here. Germany out, lost some penalties to Paraguay after a goal that should have stood, was disallowed in extra time. The coaching was worse than the refereeing though. Nagelsmann's project is in big trouble. Brazil just scraped through against Japan. Canada won 1-0. Netherlands are out 2, all on penalties after a shootout where we had like posts and misses and all of it. Morocco through to face Canada in a round of 16. 3 of the 4 matches today went past 90 minutes. 2 went to penalties. Both penalty shootouts were full of misses. The penalty taking at the top level of football needs 4 years of work, I think. Coming up soon, Norway, Ivory Coast. Watch that. If this whole episode was worth your time, subscribe. If it wasn't, also subscribe because the number still helps. If you disagree with the Nagelsmann critique, tell me. I'd rather get pushback than have it be one-sided. The next week of this tournament is going to be massive. See you next Monday. Tactic. That's it. Thanks for listening.